the great RJ Pepino with me, who is an investing expert. I'm excited to talk with RJ today. Just a little bit of research I've done on him before the show. It's pretty sweet. I highly recommend going on to his Instagram. He's got all sorts of great videos, and on TikTok too, about how he goes about being creative with his investment deals. It'll serve you very well. But today we're going to learn more about that too. So RJ, how are you today, man?
I'm great. Thank you for, we've been trying to get on each other's radars here, and finally we're able to connect. Last time I had to reschedule, so I'm just happy to be here and happy to be on your show. And also want to get to know you a little bit too, because coaching kind of mastermind group, and a lot of members in there, so it'd be nice to also get to know you, because I think we haven't got to know each other yet. So
right.
Happy to
yeah, it's cool. I agree. We're in a great group. Like RJ just alluded to, we're both in this group where we're learning how to sharpen our skills in some different spots in our life. And it's exciting because there's all sorts of go-getters like RJ and myself in there. And yeah, I agree. So RJ, tell me a little bit about what your business is and I guess what you do on a day-to-day.
Yeah, so I'm part owner and of this real estate investing company. We started this back in buying and holding real estate back in 2012. Before that, I got my start. Maybe your audience knows about wholesaling properties, quick flipping properties, getting contract on the distressed property, and then kind of wholesaling it out to an end buyer. So I got my start in that, and that was good. But it's if you guys are, if you know about wholesaling, that it's like up and down waves of money coming in and out. Then there's months where it's slow, and so 2012, my main goal is to find private lenders to fund my real estate deals so that I could buy and hold properties and collect passive income. And so I did that. I started doing that in 2012 with my now business partner. And if
you don't mind me interrupting you real quick, RJ, why were you driven to do that? Like, were you in the position where like you didn't have a bunch of cash, or you had to be creative and find deals? Like you obviously wanted to invest, but you couldn't maybe?
Yeah. So the thing is, I started to really talk to my buyers and see the money they were making, and and also the lifestyle that they were living. And what I found is that the ones that were living a really good life and had a lot of cash were the landlord buyers, where my friends, 50, 150, 200, 300, 400, 500, thousands of units. I'm like, well,
wow.
How did you even get to that point? Because I was selling them the deal and I was making 5, 10, sometimes the biggest assignment fee was like $20,000 at that point. I'm like, how did you get to this point where, passively you're getting all of this money every month? And it was 1 property, 2 properties, 5 properties at a time, 10 properties at a time. They were buying and holding real estate. And so I was like, well, how are you getting the funding? Like how does all this work? I was asking all these questions and being intuitive, and they were like, this is how I'm getting my funding. Like I'm going to individuals who have self-directed IRAs, who have savings, or hard money lenders, bank credit. Like they were pulling out lines of credit and using it to put it into real estate. And so I'm like, well, how do you, my credit was shot. So I was like, well, how do you find private money lenders? And they're like, well, they're just individuals like you, that have cash. They have cash in the bank and they're not making any returns, or they have cash in the stock market and they're not liking the roller coaster, or they have it in it's earning -%. They're like, so you just talk to these people and they fund your deals? Well, you have to have a good deal. You can't just say,
right.
Deals. They're kind of here in the blah, blah, blah. Like, so they're like, the best thing to do is to continue marketing to motivated sellers, getting deals in contract, but also aspect of what you should be doing is talking to private lenders. And so I was thinking, I'm like, well, where are some of my lenders? And my business partner and I were sitting in our half duplex that we were living in, and we're trying to figure this out. And he was just like, you know what? I have contacts in my phone. I'm just gonna start making phone calls. Like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we started calling people in our buyers.
You literally just started calling random people for money, basically.
Yeah, it was people that were in our buyers list. They were also landlords. And we're calling them and saying, hey, it wasn't like, hey, here's a deal, can you fund it? It was, here's the opportunity in Columbus, Ohio. Here's some of the deals right now we have in our pipeline. Who do you know? It's who do you know that is interested, because we wanted to see if they would, put us in front of their lenders, but what it turned out to be was we're the lender. They're like, you are getting those returns now, in Ohio? I'm like, yes, we can be all in on a house. This is back in 2012, so the market was a little different, but we could be all in on a house for 35 grand or less, and it was renting for 800, 900 bucks. And they're like, those are crazy returns. And so they took.
Well, and got to go ask. Sorry, to go. What I was gonna say is just to go ask someone for money, or I'm sorry, to go ask someone for them to share with you on how they might get money. That's like not very hard to. That's not very hard to do at all. Like, but if you're going to them and saying, "Hey, can I have 30 grand for a down payment?" Like, you almost like sweat going to that conversation, right? But it makes it a lot easier when you're just asking them for help, and then, like you said, you found out that they want to help you out in the first place.
It's indirectly you're asking them. It's who do you know? It's who do you know? And the presentation is all about, what you've done, how these numbers work, how you're finding these. And that's what we did. We just said, hey, we're your boots on the ground here. And back then we were putting up a lot of signs, we were door knocking, we were sending some direct mail, handwritten, like all ourselves, like we were the guys. It was just me and Dave, and we did that to a point until we got properties under our belt, and then we found an administrative assistant to kind of do all of that. But we were the guys. Like, we're gonna manage the rehab, we're gonna knock on the doors, we're gonna sign the leases. That's what they wanted to hear, because they were like also kind of talking about to us. They were like, well, who's gonna manage all these? Like, how does it work? And so we set it up to where we were borrowing their money. They were being passive, and they wanted a little bit of the upside back then, because they were taking a chance on some young guys. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you have to see what the opportunity is and think bigger picture, because if you don't have any credibility, well, you got to create credibility. You can't just wait for the perfect time to do something, So we saw this as like a way for us to get properties and start building a portfolio, and basically building some respect with these guys. And we're going to turn one lender, do well with them, pay them on time, we always pay our lenders first, and then use that as a credibility kit to other lenders. And that's what we did. So that first year, we bought like 20 something properties. Well, that was our credibility packet. That was in our presentation.
Cool. Yeah.
So then we could say, hey, this is what we did. These are the properties that we purchased. Here are the numbers. Here's what we did with our lenders. We set them up on auto pay. They get paid every month, first of the month. And that's what you got to do. I see a lot of people just kind of like waiting for that perfect lender to come up with the perfect terms.
So it sounds great, RJ. You go out, you find somebody that will give you money, you buy a house, you do it, you figure out you can do it, then you buy 18 more, and then you have a track record, and then you can go out and continue to do that. But I'm sure along the way you had some hiccups or some problems that taught you something, I would imagine. Maybe not. Maybe you've just been really lucky. But like in that first little phase, was there a time where it was like, oh shoot, we shouldn't have done that? Like, was there a time where you almost lost your ass or anything like that?
Several times. There were several times where we lost our ass, and a lot of it was in construction. So one of the hardest pieces to really figure out. And also too, with residents, tenants that said that, hey, we're going to stay here for a year or 2 years. And a lot of them aren't going to tell the truth, even if they really look good on paper. But some of the things that we learned was the lessons that we kind of teach today is that you never want to give a contractor a big down deposit, right? Because you're never going to see them again, thousands and thousands of dollars of that. That we had to come out of pocket. Like, we're not going back to our private lender and saying, hey, we screwed up. We need more money. It's, hey, we screwed up, but we paid up on our end from our proceeds. So We learned a lot of lessons in construction. We also learned a lot of lease strategies. We did a lot of rent to own. And so we learned how to do this way back when. And now that's actually coming back now. It's the market's softening up. So we had rent to own strategies back in 2012 that we still do today. We learned how to structure that. So that was like the creative financing side of real estate. And we learned that sometimes you got to take a little bit of a loss, and it's a lesson. Like, not all the properties we bought were makers. We had to take some losses on some of these rentals. But at the same time, we also learned that when the market is showing you that a rental is worth 3 times now, it's also a good time to sell. We took advantage of that in the hot real estate market that we've been in the last couple of years. So
awesome.
A lot of lessons in construction and property management. And we didn't have mentors or people that we could talk to back then. Now that we do, but back then what we really did was we really leaned on our network and talked to some other landlords in the area, how they were managing their properties, talked to real estate attorneys, talked to eviction attorneys to get the best strategies on how to manage properties, So we learned a lot from error, and it was tough, but we stuck through it.
What do they say? Fail fast and fail forward. If everybody's gonna fail, but just go at it, fail early, and apply it to go forward. I like what you said earlier. We had a couple. I think you said we had a couple mistakes that costed us. And one thing I like to think about, like whenever I have a problem with my business or in my life, it's like the cost of the problem is the cost of the lesson. So if you look at it that way, it's like I'm just learning here. It's like I paid to learn it, whatever, let's move forward and apply it going forward. So no, that's wonderful. I guess my next question for you, RJ, is, so just so I'm understanding this correctly, you currently invest in real estate, and then at the same time, you mentor people who want to learn how to do what you do. Is that right?
Yeah, we started doing this about a couple of years ago, and this year we've taken a really, really serious look at creating a business out of this. We kind of did this on the side, took some just college students that wanted to learn and mentored them. And then it was, we had a buddy that was interested in doing wholesaling, so we mentored him. He had some successes. And then this year, we're really looking to work with people that are doing flips now and helping them structure it to where they can, use private capital to acquire it, flip to themselves, and then get the monthly cash flow going, and then go into a local bank for the refinance. So we really teach a unique way of doing the BRRRR strategy, so that you can, instead of giving away and wholesaling properties that you should be keeping because they make really good long-term rentals or even short-term rentals, we show you how to keep it in your portfolio so that you don't have to continue to flip if you don't want to. We get into real estate passive income, but sometimes we get caught in the the hamster wheel of going after the next flip and going after that next deal, and then you wake up 10 years from now, you don't have any passive income, you don't have any generational wealth, So that's what we do.
That's neat. And for anyone watching or anybody watching later on the recording, please reach out to RJ. I mean, I'm sure he'd have the conversation just over the phone to see if you're a good fit for him and his organization. But anybody, whether you're already skilled and are already doing it, or if you're just brand new and have no idea what we're even talking about, which that might be the best person to work with, RJ, someone who has no background at all. RJ started from the very beginning. I mean, he started from nothing. He failed fast. He learned. He's the kind of guy you want to learn from, not somebody that just got handed a bunch of money from from their parents and have just failed through excessive capital. So that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to learn more about that. Have you always thought about, have you always wanted to do flipping and real estate investing, or like what brought you into it?
Well, I was actually not, I didn't even know this world existed really. Cause I always thought I had some ideas back in high school that I wanted to start like a restaurant, or I wanted to open up a business and do I was a tennis player. So I'm like, maybe I could have my own tennis club or something like that.
Cool.
I was always about ways to generate more income. And I didn't really know about real estate until 2007. And I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which it just opened up my mind, my whole awareness of being a business owner, cash flow quadrants, being a
Yeah.
employee, where you want to be. And that's what really piqued my interest into real estate, because you read the book, there's a way to go and do the 3-day event. I went to the 3-day event. I got my guide to start real estate investing, and I've just been, super obsessed about it ever since. And I thought that the way to do it was just flipping properties, but there was a way to flip properties without even owning. That's wholesaling, and then obviously owning rentals. So, and I always thought that, well, you need a lot of money, you need to use your own cash, or you need to go get bank financing. All this is, you can't, but there's a way where you can do it with using none of your own capital. That's what we teach. You can use private money, you can use hard money. So that's
think about that, listeners. RJ literally just took away all your hesitations. He knows how to get money if you don't have money. He knows how to get deals if you don't have money. If you already have money, he knows how to go about it and structure those deals. Seriously, RJ, I can't wait to have another conversation. I can't pull too much information out of you because then no one's going to hire you. But gosh, off the phone, off the camera here, we're going to have to talk a little bit. I'm excited. I'm excited for you and what you have going. Why do you do what you do? I mean, I hope it's not solely for making money. I mean, I'm just curious. Have you been inspired at all at the opportunity to teach people, or I'm curious.
Yeah. So, I saw the opportunity to really make an impact on people's lives. And it first started with people in the business. Some of our contractors were getting houses, and we were putting them in housing in a time where it was hard to get financing. And like I was saying, we do a lot of rent to own. And so when you see somebody kind of owning a house from, having no credit to getting their credit together, and then you give them the opportunity of home ownership, and you see that they're super excited. I mean, there's a sense of fulfillment out of that. And then I started to see it when I started to working with some of these interns in our business, and they got a hang of it. You just get excited when they're excited. So I'm like, I wonder if we could do some coaching, because I saw a lot of, I have a lot of coaches, and then I talked to them about how they structure their business and why they do it. They don't need to do it. Like, I don't need to do the coaching, and it's like, well, there's a bigger impact that you're leaving behind, that you're gonna be more fulfilled to do this. So it's really more of a fulfillment piece. Yes, you make a lot of money, but you can see that you're impacting somebody's like generational mindset from this, because when you show them what's possible, right? When they didn't know that they could do all of this without having rich parents or, the rich uncle, whatever it is, they can do this. They just you need staying power. You need to be resourceful, and you need to actually get out there and do the work and execute. That's all I've done. I've executed, failed. I've had to readjust, executed, failed, do it again, get mentors, fail, do it again. And then along the way, you see these really great strides of success. And so seeing that out of the students that we've helped, like the testimonials that we have of some of our students, it's amazing. It's a whole different feeling of fulfillment than doing deals. Like, I still get excited doing real estate deals. I'm more excited helping people and changing their mindset and really showing them what's possible with a little bit of effort and resourcefulness, So that's what I'm doing. My business partner and I talk about the Hall of Fame. Do you know what the Hall of Fame is? One of my
but tell me.
It's what people are going to remember you for, and I want to be remembered for making more of an impact to people's lives than just making a lot of money.
Amen, man. That's beautiful. I love that. Two things out of what you just said is, well, and first of all the listeners recognize that RJ is a multimillionaire. So he's got his shit together. He's been doing it. He said multiple times, hire mentors, hire coaches, hire mentors. I fail, I learn, I hire mentors. I mean, I think they say success leaves clues. That's a clue right there. If you want to get something out of life, hire a mentor. If you want to get good at golf, hire somebody to teach you. Don't Life is too short to learn on our own. I mean, I'm not trying to take away from people that learn on their own. That's great. I mean, RJ and I are that way, but once you get serious about something and you really commit to something, hire somebody and they will help you get there. The other thing that really stuck out to me, what you just said, RJ, was how you're not seeking money necessarily. You trust money will come, but it's more about the impact, and then you get fulfillment through impact. And I myself have went through some tough times over the last couple of years where I was too focused on advancing my company and making money, and uh, and and I was so complacent. I was just in a weird spot. And when I learned to chase fulfillment, which required me to impact people, all of a sudden my life was way different. My trajectory changed. The way I treated people around me was better. So I think it's really important for anybody and everybody to consider doing what they do so that they can impact people. Find a way to have a profession where you can actually impact another person's life path, and it's really really freaking rewarding. So man, that's awesome. I'm grateful. Like I'm sure the listeners can catch on. RJ and I don't know each other very much yet, but I think you're going to be a lifelong friend just from the little bit that you've told me. Um, so we're getting close to the end here, but before we get that far, what would be a piece of advice you'd give to someone who's looking to do what you are doing here now?
Well, I'll just share what I did, and hopefully it resonates. Is that you got to find somebody that's I talk about the mentors, right? You got to find somebody that's about 3 to 5 years, somebody that has the same type of values that you have, that you want, right? Because and just don't make it about money. You got to look at nowadays. You can look at their social media. You can go to some of the meetups that they have. You can really have that one-on-one conversation with them and see if that's somebody that you resonate with. But that's how that's what I did. I have coaches right now that are that far ahead of me, and that the reason why I look for those people is that it's not so far out that I can't reach it. I know that if I put some one step in front of the other, I can get to that, and then at that point I can decide whether or not I got to find somebody else that's a little bit ahead of me. So
Yeah,
that's what I recommend. You got to continue to invest in yourself. Why not? There's a lot of books you can read. There's all the free information that's out there, but a coach and mentor is going to hold you accountable. That's the biggest piece that separates what you're going to learn from all of the YouTube videos and the books that you're going to read. You need somebody to give their point of view and hold you accountable so that you're going to execute.
that's great advice. That's awesome advice. I mean, I've found that people that are successful, if they're a good person, in most cases, they love giving back to people who are driven and want to create something for their life. So I love everything you just said. So now I just have a couple quick questions. It might, hopefully you might not come up with an answer right away, but that's fine. But what is something you've always wanted to do, like as far as a profession, different than what you do now?
Well, I really like to travel to new places. I have a list of places I want to go. Like, for example, I want to go to like South America, the places
Awesome.
I have, Argentina and Brazil. I've never been there. So I want to continue doing that and go to the places I've never been, like to travel.
All right, that's a
Experiencing new
great one.
experiences is the
What is
biggest thing.
what is a productivity hack that you like to utilize?
Well, I did some high performance coaching, and the things that you gotta what I took away from that have to have you know a list. You got to make lists of what's on your mind that you have to do, and then see from that list, see which you can delegate, and if you can't delegate it, then really look at that and say, is this necessary for me to do right now? Is it really important? Right? So you create a list of everything that's in your mind, brain dump it out, then you prioritize it, and then you create another list of who do I need to contact or call, whatever, to help me accomplish this, right? So if you just get it out of your head, because that creates anxiety for me, it really helps me when I
Yeah,
can just,
right.
and then really look at the one that's most urgent. There's probably 3 that's urgent, it needs to happen now, and then there's probably things that can help me, like people I need to contact to get through the rest of the list. And so that's really helped me just writing it out. And I do it in the morning. There's times where I'm like, all right, I'm feeling this overwhelming sense of anxiety, so I need to do this right now. And if I can't write it out, then I'll just use my iPhone and I'll take notes. So I'll put notes on there and then I'll refer to it after that. So once it's out of my head, I feel a lot better. I feel like I have a solid game plan to get this done.
I like that. I myself also use lists, and sometimes it's overwhelming because I'll write everything out and then it's just this long list. And I'll do like a most urgent and less urgent. Like I'll split them up, but I don't go into it as deep as you just did. So that's some solid advice. What's the biggest hurdle you face in doing what you do with real estate and finding deals or finding financing?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles that I'm still trying to get better at is being still working on being a better leader, because when you're at that piece, you're going to attract better people into your business. And then when you attract better people that can actually execute your goals, then it makes your life a lot easier. So I'm still continually working on that, reading books. I have mentors still. And I ask them these questions of like, what do I need to do to show to my, have an operations manager, COO. I just want to make sure that he's got everything that he needs, and because he's going to be executing all my plan, vision, and all that. So it's like, how can I be better at leading people? Have more of a good culture in our company. I'm always working on that. That's the biggest thing. So I'm currently in a couple leadership books that I'm reading from Jim Collins. Good to Great is one of them currently looking at. I like the bullet points because I like to do a lot of audio. So I've subscribed to Blinkist, which is it's kind of like a summary. But I also like to listen to the books. But when I'm in like a jam and I'm like, okay, what's this book about? Is there anything that I can use and implement out of this book? Then I'll go to Blinkist and I'll just it kind of summarizes what the main points are.
So it's Link, like LINK, us?
Yeah, Blinkist.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's kind of like Spark Notes back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of Spark Notes? You get a book report and you can go in and say everything about it.
Remember that.
Cool. No, that's awesome. So, gosh, that's really all I had for questions today, RJ. I always like to, at the end of the episode, just give you an opportunity to say anything that you have for the audience. There might not be anything at all, but if there is, now's your chance to share any of your last thoughts.
You guys want to connect? I'm looking to connect with anybody on your audience that needs help. Anything real estate or building a team or anything like that. Just go to my Instagram at RJ Pepino. Send me a DM and just say I was on Michael's podcast. Want to connect with you a little bit more. So that's really it. It's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully you invite me back again and we do another episode on anything that you have in mind. And I'm just happy that we were able to connect. So, and I like this cool little thing you got going on here. I'm gonna look into this Restream, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it works out awesome. And yes, we'd love to have you back. Maybe what we'll do is like set up like a 6-month. We'll have you back on here and just kind of do an update, and you can talk about some projects that you've done in the meantime, and I'm sure some success stories with your clients. So, and by the way, just so everybody knows, I myself am interested in becoming a client of RJ's. So I think you should too. Anybody, like we talked about, if you missed the beginning of the video, RJ specializes in real estate funding. He's a master at finding a creative way to get money, because just like you, maybe potentially, not everybody obviously, but we're all in different spots. So some people don't have money right away, and so they think, oh, I'm just not going to real estate invest. They see someone on Facebook buying a rental and they're like, oh, screw them, like, why are they so privileged? No, don't think that way. Think I can do it too. There's creative ways to do it. You just got to be creative, right? So RJ is a great person to hire or to talk to about that. Once again, RJ, thanks for coming on today. I greatly appreciate it. We will put your name and your links at the bottom in the comments. So if anybody does want to reach out, please do reach out directly that way. So once again, RJ, thank you very much for coming on today.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your